Kentucky is awesome. Right? Yeah, so we have, I just saw a couple of things about Kentucky. I was doing this, like, series, Kentucky News, and I saw a couple stories, but I actually do want to talk about how awesome Kentucky is. Okay, so first, the bullshit. You got, this Harlan County man who was found, he took a his handicapped mother, and he put her out in the woods. He couldn't take care of her anymore, so he just put her out in the woods. This is Day Hoyt, Kentucky. This is in Harlan County. Said that the woman was freezing and begging for life. And this is Harlan County, so Sheriff Lipford, this is Kentucky Justice. This is the guy who's trying to be like, Raylan Givens on Justified, only he's not like Raylan Givens. He's just a big fat fucking, piece of shit going around arresting people for non-violent offenses. But this happened March 4, 2014, so just 8 days ago. 8 days ago, they found this woman out in the tent. He didn't have money to take care of her, and so he thought the solution was to put her out in the woods and just kind of let her die out there. The wheelchair was by the creek and shit, and they were talking about how horrible it was. But I'm wondering how come they didn't go to the Sheriff Lipford. If he's all about Kentucky justice, how come they didn't go to the government and say, hey, I need some help. I don't know. I can't take care of my fucking mother, and she's, handicapped. What am I supposed to do? He should have had somebody that he could have gone to, but when you have such an oppositional government, a government that's ready to fucking arrest you, beat you up, throw you into prison over some non-violent bullshit, it's kind of hard. What are you do? I feel like he was sort of in an impossible situation. It's not right what he did. It's fucked up and very unusual and, scary. But, I mean, are there facilities that would take her in? I'm not for sure if there is. There's nursing homes and there's old people homes and stuff, but there's a lot of that funding is being, it's being dried up. There's hardly, Kentucky has, like, one of the lowest funding when it comes to mental health research or facilities or doctors and, a lot of other things. So that's one fucked up thing. There's another episode that happened with Turtle Man. There's this guy named Turtle Man, and actually it's on Huffington Post, and I'm having troubles with being able to keep a hold of it. And I like this a little bit better. This is a nice little shade of color. So you got Turtle Man who is he's got some sort of internet show just like Lipford, Sheriff Lipford. So they got some of this internet show where I don't know what he's doing. He's like saving people from attacks and shit, but he went and planted snakes into the pool, like cottonmouth snakes or some snakes that's not native to Kentucky, and he saved the town, right? He saved everybody. Yes, he hurried up and grabbed a hold of the snakes, and then he wound up saving everybody. And that was Turtle Man. That's just all I know is what they're called, is Turtle Man. Right, so here in Kentucky we got people named Turtle Man. And actually I'm going to look this up real fast just because plants snake. Turtle Man plants snake. So snake expert says Turtle Man shows stage cottonmouth. Right, so they put in cottonmouth snakes in it. So if you see a cottonmouth snake in Kentucky, it's not native, okay? It's not native to Kentucky. So that's some fucked up shit that happened, right? So you got the guy who's putting the mother out in the woods, and then you got the guy who's planting cottonmouth snakes into the pool. You had that one dude who had let's see, the preacher. You had that preacher man who was sitting there like faith-based healing. Oh, I got bit by a poisonous snake, but God will heal me, and then he dies. That happened in Kentucky too. In fact, Kentucky has got so much crazy shit that happens here. It's maddening, okay? It's sickening. There's so much stupid behavior, okay? We're the state that has the man, he was forced to eat his own beard, right? There's he wears a Confederate hat, and like somebody like held him down, cut his beard, said, eat your own beard, right? So I guess that's, anything sort of like disrespectful like that would be just disrespectful. Like, the fuck are you making someone eat your own beard for? There's let's see, what else? There's a guy who went into the fire department's house or to the fire station, and he just jacked off on all the uniforms. So I don't know what what does a person get out from the uniforms? I mean, Hitler was all about, you know, the uniforms of Nazi Germany and stuff, so I guess there is something about the uniform. Oh, man, how strong it makes a man just look good being in a uniform, right? So evidently there was a man that really was turned on by it and goes into the firehouse, breaks into it, and just jizzes all over him, right? So you got people eating their own beards. You got, you know, people jizzing on fire department uniforms. There's a 2-year-old that had, or a 5-year-old that shot a 2-year-old, right? That happened here in Kentucky. So we got 5-year-olds shooting 2-year-olds. So here's a piece of news that I just came by, actually, which had happened before, but this happened sort of right where I'm at. I'm next to Fort Knox, and this happened in Mount Washington, Shepherdsville. So they said they charged a man who had an overnight feast in an overnight supermarket. So you have, let's see, this is 2013, May 14th, and it says the manager of a Value Mart said he found 57 empty whipped cream cans in the garbage. So he's probably just whipping it, right, just getting high on all this shit. And they said 30-year-old Trevor Runyon was charged after he was found in the ceiling. So he's hiding in the ceiling of the store. Surveillance video from the store showed that Runyon cooked and ate 6 steaks, washed them down with beer, and then topped off his meal with shrimp and birthday cake. Police say Runyon slipped into the store and hid while employees closed it for the night. Bullitt County Detention Center records show Runyon is from Shepherdsville, Kentucky, and it's not clear whether he had an attorney. I'm looking at this picture of it, and he seems happy. He seems not embarrassed that this thing had happened. So I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're poor and hungry, that would be a nice little feast, right? Just stay overnight in the Value Mart and then just engorge yourself as much food as you can get. So there's a meth smoker was eating carpet. There's an angry llama that gets spitting mad. A porn actor was arrested for breaking in the house, firehouse, and jacking off on all the gear, which I'd already mentioned. There's a woman that gets super glued to the Walmart toilet. A woman literally got caught in a sticky situation in a Walmart bathroom in Kentucky. She sat down on the toilet and couldn't get up for 60 minutes. So I don't know why that's... Why? How did that happen? Why would you super glue yourself onto the toilet? So bed bugs. I don't know. There's some other things here. So anyways, you do have all this weird, fucked up shit that's happening in Kentucky, but it's not all bad, okay? Yeah, we are one of the most weirdest, unusual, most backward states in the nation, but there's a lot of positive things that have come out of Kentucky too. So there's there is the Nathan Stubblefield, okay? The radio was invented in Kentucky. Before Marconi and all these other people, Nathan Stubblefield was able to throw his voice through the air, and then they heard it on the other side. He created radio, okay? Nathan Stubblefield, right here in Kentucky. Kentucky invented the radio. So it's not all, you can't base the quality of the whole state by its worst, okay? You have to sort of take a median. Our median income is $40,000, so there's a lot of middle-class people here in the bluegrass state. Nathan Stubblefield invented the radio, so Kentucky invented the radio. That's not the only science that we've done. We've also invented the stoplight and the gas mask, and that was Garrett Morgan, a black man, okay? So a black man had invented the stoplights. We use stoplights everywhere. It regulates the traffic. And gas mask, right? So that way people won't be dying of any type of biological warfare. So we got the radio. We got the stoplight and the gas mask and the Bessemer process, okay? The Bessemer process, this is like one of the biggest scientific breakthroughs in the 19th century. The Bessemer process was the first inexpensive industrial process for the mass production of steel from molten pig iron prior to the open hearth furnace. So the process is named after its so-called inventor. But this is something else that seems to happen with Kentucky. Nathan Stubblefield didn't get the patent for the radio, and we'll see William Kelly, who had discovered this process in 1851 before Bessemer took credit for it. So you see this happen over and over again. You saw it with Tesla. You see it with Bill Gates. Edison took Tesla's ideas. Bill Gates took whoever's ideas, right, in order to create Microsoft. So these It's almost like there's people who can create and invent shit, and then there's other motherfuckers that steal that invention, patent it, and then they got the legal justification to call it theirself. So Henry Bessemer took out a patent in 1855, but William Kelly had discovered it in 1851. So what the process is essentially is that you blow air into it, and it removes impurities from the iron by oxidation. So when you blow air into it through the molten iron, right, you got molten iron, you blow air into it, it removes the impurities from the iron. It removes the impurities. So the oxidation process removes and skims off impurities such as silicon, manganese, and carbon in the form of oxides. These oxides either escape as gas or form a solid slag. The refractory lining of the converter also plays a role in the conversion. The clay lining is used in the acid Bessemer, in which there is low phosphorus in the raw material. Dolomite is used when the phosphorus content is high. I don't want to go through too much of this because they don't use the process anymore. There's now, let's see, obsolescence. In the U.S., commercial steel production using this method stopped in 1968. Is replaced by the processes such as the basic oxygen Linz-Donowitz process, which offered better control of the final chemistry. The Bessemer process was so fast, 10 to 20 minutes for a heat, that allowed little time for chemical analysis or adjustment of the alloying elements in the steel. Bessemer converters did not remove phosphorus efficiently from the molten steel. As low phosphorus ores became more expensive, conversion costs increased. The process permitted only limited amount of scrap steel to be charged, further increasing costs, especially when scrap was inexpensive. Use of electric arc furnace technology competed favorably with the Bessemer process, resulting in its obsolescence. So the electric arc furnace knocked the Bessemer process. The William Kelly process, fuck Bessemer. So basic oxygen steelmaking is essentially an improved version of the Bessemer process. Decarbonization by blowing oxygen as gas into the heat rather than burning the excess carbon away by adding oxygen-carrying substances into the heat. So the advantages of pure oxygen blast over air blast was known to Henry Bessemer, but 19th century technology was not advanced enough to allow for the production of large quantities of pure oxygen to make it economically feasibly so. So William Kelly, he's born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as American inventor. He studied metallurgy. This is what he studied. This was his thing at the Western University of Pennsylvania. Then he tries dry goods business, and then it goes under in a fire. And then he moves to Eddyville, Kentucky, and he enters the iron industry in 1847. 4 years later, he discovers the William Kelly process, and then Bessemer steals it by patenting it. Kelly asserted that English workmen at his plant informed Bessemer of Kelly's experiment. So William Kelly did believe that Bessemer stole the process. But the Bessemer process, a technological advancement here in Kentucky, was invented. It was invented right here in the state. Nathan Stubblefield invented the radio right here in the state. Stoplight, gas mask by Garrett Morgan. And we've had lots more incredible heroes. We've had John Marshall Harlan. Okay, John Marshall Harlan was the lone dissenter in Plessy versus Ferguson. So Plessy versus Ferguson said that separate was equal. Then Brown versus Board of Education said that separate is not equal. And then the 2007 Meredith decision said that separate is equal. So we're going back to segregation right now. We're not integrating the schools through busing. We're just sitting there saying, fuck it. We can't do anything. We can't stop it. Let's just go back with segregation. So John Marshall Harlan, he would have been the dissenter for the current case also. Right, so Louisville was 1975 is when they integrated it. In 2007 is when they're going to resegregate. So this city was the last to integrate and the first to resegregate. Chief Louis Brandeis also came out of Kentucky. They got lots of shit in Kentucky, or in Louisville, named after him. They even got the Law Center, right? The Law School of U of L is the Brandeis Law Center. There's a Brandeis Street. And Louis Brandeis is all about privacy rights. He was all about, the rights of citizens to be secure in their own persons, just like the Fourth Amendment and a combination of the other amendments allow for. Nobody can come up in your house. They can't be quartered inside your house unless there's a warrant that specifically says the items that need to be seized and where they need to be seized from. That's the only way that people can enter your house. theoretically. And Chief Louis Brandeis believed that. He says that for good or ill, the government serves as the omnipotent teacher. And so if the government is breaking laws in order to enforce the laws, then it's showing everybody else that they should be doing the exact same thing, which kind of goes to my argument with the death penalty. If they're sitting there saying that murder is an acceptable punishment for people, then they're setting the example for anybody else, any vigilante out here. And since Kentucky has very lax vigilante laws, in fact, if you're a citizen and you witness a felony and you don't arrest them, you could be charged with something. They would never do something like that. But the vigilante laws and citizen arrest laws here in Kentucky are very liberal. So Kentucky is awesome. Kentucky kicks ass.